Well, buongiorno me tacos, and welcome back to another crazy edition of Talk Murder to Me Worldwide. Tonight we visit a petite but charming Italian city where an expert soap maker begins experimenting with more lively ingredients. And as for her victims, well, you know what they say here today, gone tomato. So strap up your Prada high heels, pasta me the vino, and whatever you do, don't use the soap.
Voglio vivere così, col sole in fronte, e felice canto beatamente. Voglio vivere e godere.
All right, guys, I hope that's better than my usual playlist there. That song is by Christian De Sica, and the title is Voglio vivere così. Maybe. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this story. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Tonight, I don't think we've ever went here before to do a killing, but we're going to a place that I've been once, and it goes very well with the wine that I'm drinking right now.
$2 Chuck, Italy?
Even though the wine is probably made in someone's basement.
It is a California blend, and it's organic. $2 Chuck. Thank you very much.
We're doing a serial killer in Italy.
Ooh.
Which I've been once to Aviano.
Italia.
I need to go to Italy. Am I the only one in this room who hasn't been?
Probably.
Aside from Hubble, yes.
Freaking, the food is amazing.
It is
They hated
amazing.
us Americans, though. But
I did enjoy me some Italy. Damn, I love the food. So good. What part of Italy?
I can't pronounce it, but Correggio. Correggio. Correggio.
So is there what city, is there like a major city that this is near? You know, is it
What part of the boot?
You're the geography expert.
Well, I can tell you where some
Is
of
it
the
in the
major
heel or the
cities
toe
are.
of the boot?
Or in the leg, you know? Like, is it in the calf? I don't know.
Okay, Correggio is right dead in the center of Italy.
Okay.
Here, let me show you a
So
little
maybe
map.
not terribly far from Rome.
Did you know that Rome is its own country?
Here is...
Vatican
No,
City
the
is its
Vatican
own.
is
That's
its
what I
own
said.
country.
Oh my God, please, Future John, just cut
No,
that.
I'm leaving that, dude.
No, please.
So that's kind of near like Torino. No, that's a little bit further up north. Florence. Firenze.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know where anything's at in Italy. I've been to Italy once, and I'm not even sure where I went. So I know there's a lot of good painters there, and I read that Leonardo da Vinci book, which is fucking excellent.
The Da Vinci Code?
No, Leonardo da Vinci, the book, the biography.
I did love me some Da Vinci Code, though. Damn, I love that book.
We're starting the story off with a woman tonight. I'm gonna show you a picture right now, and if you're new here, there's somewhere you can go online to see these, and I can't remember where it is.
Talkmurder.com.
That's correct, murderpedia.com.
Which I'm wearing one of our new, our swags that came in.
Ooh, I was going to ask you if that was new.
This is this hot mess right now. Her name is Leonarda Cianciulli. Cianciulli. I don't fucking know.
Cianciulli?
I don't know. Cianciulli. So Leonarda right here, she's a mother. She's got 4 kids, but the oldest, which his name is fucking Giuseppe. Giuseppe. He's the oldest at 18. What time period do you think we're going to today?
1920s, based on that
picture?
photo.
We're going to September 30th, 1940. Okay.
We're a little behind on the times there.
Giuseppe is 18 years old. That's the eldest son of Leonarda. We're starting this story off in the bathroom. She tells her 18-year-old son to strip down naked. This is the best way to start the story.
Okay, I'm a little concerned at how we're starting here with this mother
Well,
Maybe he had blood on his clothes and she wanted to help him get away with the murder.
this is the evening of September 30th, 1940. He's in the bathroom and she walks in and she's like, go ahead and take your clothes off. I'm going to run you a nice hot bath. And there's like one of those, the bathtub with the claw legs.
Clawfoot tub. Mm-hmm.
Clawfoot tubs there. And she's like, well, Mom, I can do this myself. I mean, they were speaking Italian, which I don't know how to do that.
Mama.
accent. Mama, I can do this myself. Can you go make me some meatballs? And she's like, no, but I can see your meatballs.
Oh, God.
So she's like, take your robe off and get in the tub. I'm going to wash you. And they've never done this before. I mean, he's 18 years old. And when
she probably did that for him when he was a baby.
Yeah, when a baby, but now he's 18 years old. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, a little different.
Well, I mean, their
inappropriate.
culture is different than ours is, but even still, I feel like, yeah, that's not cool.
So after he tried to resist, he finally takes his clothes off. Now he's covering his little private parts. And he's like, being all shy.
Well, I don't blame him in this case, but...
He's being all shy. And the mother's like, that's nothing I haven't seen before, son. I've seen that thing many and many of times. Now go ahead and get in the bathtub.
I'm sure it looks a lot different, or at least I hope it looks a lot different. To her.
So he just goes along with it. And this one incident right here is going to cause strain on the relationship. Because like I said, he's 18 and she hasn't bathed him since he was like 3. It's like really weird. So he gets in the bathtub and he tries to sink down low to the bottom so she can't see, his penis. Because it's weird.
Yes.
She takes a bar of soap and she starts lathering him. Why are y'all looking at me like that?
This is weird. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm where is this going?
We don't get a hint, and now you're starting the story with like this really strange
it's like this
tale.
Maybe I read
Oedipus complex,
Maybe I read a porno mag instead of...
Yeah, is this dog murdered to me, or is this...
Okay, he gets in the tub and he's he kind of lowers his body down so his mother doesn't see his genitalia in the tub, and she starts lathering him up with this soap. Now, she's a soap maker. Okay, that's her job. She makes his soap. So basically, she just wants
less
to
weird. Okay,
test her product.
Test her product.
But still, he could have been clothed, or she didn't need to be present, or she could have tested on herself.
I know, but like
or,
she needs
a man her age that's not her son. But okay,
they call it market research. Okay, is when you go test a product on the marketplace.
Right.
So she's lathering them all up and everything like that. So from this point on, there's going to be tension within the relationship. Follow with me. I know I'm jumping around, but that is at the point of after all the murders of tonight's story
the
took
mom
place.
is a murderer?
The last murder that happened was in the morning time. So the bath is in the evening when everyone's going to bed. It's like 8 p.m., He's getting home because he's a recruit in the Army. So he's...
World War II's going on.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's going to come into play. But so he's getting ready for bed. It's the nighttime. Now we're jumping back a little bit. Stay with me to the morning of that same day, September 30th, 1940. Okay. The mother's a soap maker and she's very successful in this little town of Correggio. This lady right here that you're looking at right now, her name is Virginia Casipo. Fuck, I don't know. Cacipio. Fuck, I can't pronounce
How do you
his
spell
name.
it?
Probably Casipio.
I'm just doing the first
right.
names from now on. This lady is Virginia. She is a former soprano. She actually sang at the famous opera house,
Oh, wow.
the La Scala in Milan. It's like this really famous opera house.
That's a big deal.
But this was kind of in her younger days. You look at the picture here.
She looks like 55.
She's not that old.
45?
She's younger than the mother, so she's probably 40. Yeah, 35, 40-ish. She's got a lot of makeup on there. She doesn't sing anymore in the opera. And even though she is sort of wealthy, as you can see by her clothes, you can kind of tell she's all made up. Her hair's pretty. Mm-hmm. She's sort of wealthy, but she doesn't have a husband anymore. She's a widow, and that wealth is kind of dwindling down a little bit. She has bonds, war bonds, and all this stuff that she could cash in, and she's got a pretty big nest egg.
Okay.
But she's not really wealthy. And the reason I'm saying that is because she actually became really best friends with Leonarda. And Leonarda, as you'll hear in a second, she's like a counselor well, not really counselor. Let's call her a fortune teller. Okay. In Italy during this time, as we'll get into it in a little bit, there's like paganism and all this stuff, and everyone believed in fortune telling over there, like a lot.
Really?
So, and she was actually a really good fortune teller as well as a really good soap maker.
Interesting.
So people would come to her home and her soap making business, not only to buy soap and candles, but also to get advice. So she came to her.
I'm sure they added, since it's Italy, I'm sure there was a pretty big Catholic twist to it.
Oh, yeah. They're all Catholics in here. That's like, I guess you have to be Catholic to be in Italy. I mean, you got the Vatican right there.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine a Baptist running around Italy?
Well, I don't think there are those there.
Trying to promote his.
That's the thing.
He'd probably get burned
big
at the stake.
Catholic. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are my peeps.
Yeah, that's true. Janice, you're a Catholic. No, ain't nothing wrong with that. Besides the whole Pope thing and the children.
Well, that wasn't the Pope per se, but that was a lot of other people.
Jen, I have personally not done a lot of Pope stories for you.
I mean, to be completely
There's a
honest.
lot of
Pope
popes out
stories.
there that murder people.
Oh, well, sure.
Well, I mean, hey, you know what? Like, I'm not a pope, so you can tell a pope story. Like, if you're telling a historical event, it's not going to offend me.
Virginia goes to Leonarda, and it's not like she straight asked her for this, but Leonarda's like, you'll never, ever believe this, girlfriend. And she's like, what? I totes got you a new job. What? Okay.
But in Italian.
Yeah. Okay, the new job is actually working for an impresario, which is like a wealthy financier. You hear that term on Narcos, I believe. They still use that term.
Never saw Narcos.
Impresario.
Oh, it's a good show.
Basically, an impresario is like a wealthy type of investor. And what do those investors do with all their money? Especially
Sink
in
it.
Italy. Fucking art, right? That's like huge over there.
Oh, sure.
So what this guy wanted to do is hire a secretary. But this guy is wealthy. He's like Peter Thiel and all those billionaire assholes, right?
Sure.
So he's wealthy, and with wealth comes secrets. So you want to hire this secretary because you've seen her sing before at the famous opera house, and you've always had your eye on her. Now you finally got in contact with her. You want to hire her to be your personal secretary to come set up all these art shows and maybe sing a little bit, entertain the crowd.
She's got an air of prominence to her.
Exactly. And it's important to know that she's actually from the higher class, social class in Italy. Not the highest, but she's up there.
Yeah, she's probably like a pseudo celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She is. And she's very loved by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But this whole transaction has got to be secret. She understands that because it's a wealthy guy and he wants to do everything in secret.
Mm-hmm. I'm nodding along like I know exactly what it is to be wealthy with lots of secrets, but go on.
You can be wealthy with lots of secrets as easily as you can be poor with lots of secrets.
True.
Like me.
She said that this impresario lives right outside of Florence, and she told her, listen, on September 30th, you need to be here in the morning with your bags packed. And what you're going to do is write a bunch of letters to all your friends and family, because here's how it is. Oh, you just try to make something of yourself. You want to move on with your life, and all your friends and family are trying to hold you back and say, no, don't do that. Maybe you should think it over. Bullshit. You need to just go take the leap of faith, and then you can send them all them postcards and tell them all this stuff later. You know what I'm saying? You don't want any negativity, so you just jump for it.
Mm-hmm.
So September 30th, her bags are packed, ready to go. All right, early morning comes. She walks into the soap shop. It's very unusual, she thinks, that there's nobody in there yet. Because usually, if not customers, like this is a very, like her soap shop is popping all the time. Everyone wants her soap.
I'm surprised
all the
it
time.
still would be during the war, actually.
Well, it's before the war. It's 1940. 1941 was when Pearl Harbor happened.
Yeah, the war had already started in Europe.
Yeah, the war started. So
Oh, sorry.
I don't
was
know
thinking-
much about it.
I mean, it didn't start for us technically
Okay,
until
I don't know
1941.
much about it, but the war has started in Europe, but Italy wasn't in the war. So around this time, they signed a non-aggression pact with Germany.
Right, because of Mussolini.
Because of Mussolini was running things. Now Mussolini recruited a lot of soldiers to go and fight this glorious war, and that was what her son was doing.
Gotcha.
But it was basically going to be a slaughter campaign because Italy, cannot stand up to the other powers of the war. You know what I'm saying?
Axis powers.
They'd get fucking slaughtered. But Hitler apparently was butt buddies with Mussolini.
Yes.
But in my opinion, eventually Germany would have taken Italy, just like they were taking everything else. Like,
sorry for my American-centric dates.
Well,
Okay.
it's a date that lives in infamy.
Well, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I never took like European history in high school or college, so.
It's very unusual that there's no one in the store. Usually all the kids and the families run around and there's always something at the Leonarda house. But the husband wasn't there or anything. So Leonarda, she's like, listen, I know, girl, I'm so happy for you. But I know this is going to be stressful, honey bunny. Listen, you got this big opportunity. You need to calm your
tits.
beans. You need to cool those beans, baby girl. And how to do that is to drink some of this wine.
Hell yeah.
Don't worry about the little bitterness of the wine. It's not
Poison.
drugged. Totes drugged.
Is this financier guy? You might not know this, but is he single and she's trying to use this secretary job?
That's a great question. This financier guy that I'm talking about doesn't actually exist.
Ah. Oh, so this is the original catfish.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
The
And-
plot thickens.
The very first catfish.
Okay.
That should be the title.
The glass of wine hits her. Now, she refused at first. She's like, I'm not even a drinker. I don't drink wine. And she's like, please, it'll help me. This is our toast. The last time I may ever see you again. We're best friends.
Wow, talk about peer pressure.
Okay, I'll drink this wine. She drinks it, and immediately she starts, getting kind of sluggish. Her movements kind of get sort of languish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she starts falling a little asleep and everything else. And then she looks over, and Leonardo has disappeared. She's not sitting across the table like she was. And then she kind of turns to her right and, oh my God, is she going through my purse right now?
No.
And then she comes up behind her and she's like, I know it's getting a little hot in here. Let me take off that nice fur jacket.
It's getting hot.
Because I don't want you
here.
to, bleed all over this fucking thing. It's
So let's take off your fur.
It's nice beaver fur.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Now this is
I am getting so hot. You better take my fur off.
okay. This is from the book "The Curse" by Ryan Green. He's kind of one of the new and up and coming crime authors.
I feel like we've used a book of his before, mayhaps.
She swung again, splitting arm from torso in a gruesome rush of red. Then again on the other side. Her arms ached, and each impact sent a painful shudder up to her shoulders, yet she didn't stop. She was gasping for air through her mouth once more, desperately trying to avoid the cloying scent of death and sobbing between each swing of the axe.
Okay, she picks this axe up, which I'll show you the axe in a minute, and she slices it right down, and the first swing hits her right in the shoulder blade because she's done this twice before. She knows not to go straight down on the head like the other times.
Uh-oh.
Because if you go straight
Like
on the
the
head,
other times.
the other time she's done, this is her third one. She also knows if you go straight for the shoulder blade, the process is quicker. It's like cutting wood, right? You have a tree out there and you got to cut it into pieces so you can make firewood. I mean, you have a human body, you got to cut it into pieces, right, Jen?
Right, so the
Yeah.
shoulder, you're
Yeah,
trying to get the joint.
already
Right.
cutting the arm off. That's basically the
Right.
premise there. She goes to Virginia's trunk, and she brought this big trunk with her. She gets the lire, which is 50,000 lire, which I don't know what that is in today's standards. She gets all the whatever else out, and she gets a very expensive bottle of perfume. Now remember, this girl came from wealth, and she dumps it into this pot. Here's the pot right here.
A chamber pot?
Go to talkmurder.com to see that. And then she, with the body parts This is her words right here from the police statement.
She ended up in the pot. Her flesh was fat and white, and when it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne, and after a long time on the boil, I was able to make some most acceptable creamy soap. I gave bars to neighbors and acquaintances.
Now, let's go back to when she was using the soap on her son later that night.
No.
Is it the
Shit. Have you ever seen Fight Club?
Yes.
You remember Tyler Durden and his soap?
And how Tyler Durden wasn't real? Spoiler alert. Sorry, I should probably say spoiler alert first.
No, Tyler Durden was making the soap. So tonight we're talking about the serial killer Leonarda Cianciulli, and I probably pronounced her name wrong, but she is the soap maker of Correggio. She basically, these stories, she chops you up, she Sweeney Todd you, and she makes you into this nice, delectable soap that you can just rub all over and get that tingly feeling.
What is this? So is the soap made from the fat, or the marrow?
It's made from fat, which she notices. Now, this Virginia is more plump than the other girls, and she notices the soap is the finest she's ever made. People will come
Homegirl ate that pasta.
before this
You
specific.
make some excellent soap.
That's what I was going to say. Do I need to be concerned?
Before this batch is completely given away to friends and family and even sold, they were like, this is the best soap ever. My skin is so smooth. All of Italy was raving over this soap. I mean, if she had an Amazon page, it'd have like 50,000 5-star reviews. Okay.
And it's interesting that even if, so while we talked about like Italy wasn't really involved in the war at this point, I mean, they were kind of, but she wouldn't have to worry about having a hard time getting the ingredients because she's able to get it herself.
All right, let me talk about Leonarda and her background. She was actually born in Montella, South Italy, November 14th, 1893. Now, usually I don't go into too much of the parent story, but it's very important in this story because she was born out of hatred.
Oh.
Yeah. And as you remember, this is during the paganism outbreak and all these heathens that aren't following the strict Catholicism and its tenets. The mother, Amelia di Nolfi, she's very, very charming. She actually came from a very prominent family.
Okay.
They had servants. She never cooked, cleaned, or anything. She was born into wealth. The mother, not Leonarda, the mother. Okay, so in this time, and probably even now, just not as public, is a social status. She was high in the social status.
Okay.
She didn't do her own chores. She had servants. She would attend these extravagant balls, drink the finest wine, meet all the poets, meet the artists. She was just born in luxury and wealth.
Sweet deal.
Very sweet deal. But she met a guy, and I'm going to tell you how in a second. The father's name was Mariano. Complete opposite. Opposite spectrum. Okay?
So poor.
Literally poor, not even like getting by. He's a pauper.
She's rebelling.
In destitution. He's older than her, way older. He's very cruel. He comes from a low social status.
So how did they get involved?
They would never be allowed to be in the same premise. There's no place in the public system where they would actually be able to meet. She was at this very expensive ball. She was actually with a suitor. You know, the mother had set up, okay, this guy comes from a nobleman, yada, yada, yada. You know, go impress him and show him the titties, all that stuff. Okay. When she leaves this ball, this guy, Mariano, has actually been following her for a few weeks without her knowing.
So it's like the opposite of Cinderella.
Yeah. And his intention is not to, you know, win her over like in those Aladdin movies or whatever, where it's all
Yep, yep.
romantic.
Disney
His
princess,
intention was to ruin her and ruin her high status
Oh.
because he is poor and from destitution. And he's looking at all these wealthy people that aren't living on the streets, that are getting fed all these elegant meals and throwing half of it away.
So he's like,
My wine is not bitter enough. Please return it to the grapes or whatever. So he's all pissed off. So he sees her and he's like, I'm going to fucking ruin that bitch. End quote.
Was he attractive enough to like?
No, he's fucking ugly. He was ugly. He's ugly.
How did he manage to pull this shit
I'm
off?
going to tell you what. So she's at this ball with this suitor and she walks home alone.
Uh-oh.
And he's there and it's at nighttime. He bangs her over the head, drags her off into the field like some caveman shit, and rapes her.
oh.
And leaves her there.
Oh.
Basically to die.
Well, that's one way to ruin someone, is to just, murder them.
But she didn't die.
Yeah, I know, but like that was his intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't die. That's correct. Here's the thing. She is 16 years old at this
Oh.
point.
Going on
Okay.
17?
She is in the process of meeting suitors because, like I said, it's not like Tinder or whatever. Like, her parents set her up with
Right.
potential suitors because they want to marry in the same class.
Right.
It's gotta be.
They gotta be. You know what I'm saying? So she keeps it a secret because she's not pure anymore. She's not a virgin.
Yeah.
Especially in Catholicism, at that time, you're considered unpure. You're wearing the
Right, even though it was
off-white
rape.
wedding dress.
Yeah.
Unlike Nicole's wedding dress, which is going to be pure white because
Obviously.
she's obviously.
100%. We have not touched each other.
So she doesn't say anything. But the months go by.
She's growing a little
she's
pasta
got a little
belly.
bump.
Yeah.
The bump starts growing, and then the family's like, okay, you need to confess. So she does. She says everything that happened. I got raped, this guy, and they pass each other now. Like, it's this weird tension because he's thinking, she's going to turn me into the police any minute now, and she never does. The family basically says, okay, you're not pure anymore. This is going to impact her social status. You have to get married right now to that guy. We got to do a hurried wedding so no one knows that you had sexual intercourse before you got married. So
Couldn't they be like normal parents back in the day and like, hide the pregnancy and surprise the parents ended up having another kid? Like that's would have been more common. But man, they were.
Well, maybe in America, but this is Italy.
they got married and he was a drunk. He was an alcoholic. He didn't have a job. Okay.
And he's evil.
And he's evil. The family, her family.
This is like out of a fairy tale gone wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, it's
I know.
anti-Cinderella.
Her family
He
completely.
is anti-Prince Charming.
Kicks
What's the
her-
opposite word of charming?
Her family completely kicks her out of the family and her husband. They don't even talk to her anymore. You're on your own. This was your fault. You shouldn't have got raped. Deal with it. We're not giving you any support. I don't even want you to be associated with me. You need to change your name. I don't even want this a part of our family history anymore. Okay, done with the family forever. So the wife, the new wife, and the rapist are married. They move in together to the shitty fucking apartments, and they jump from apartment to apartment to apartment because he doesn't pay rent. He doesn't have a job, and she's getting beat every night. Okay, she's pregnant with Leonarda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and to the worst guy ever. She gets beat because she doesn't keep the house clean, even though she's never cleaned in her life. She's always had like indentured servants to do that.
This is really sad.
Yeah. So Leonarda is born on November 14th, 1893. Leonarda was born out of, a rape
Mm-hmm.
and all this shit. The mother's getting beat. All of this frustration that she can't send back to the husband is going straight to the daughter.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like everything's going straight to the daughter. They're actually living off donations from the church. So she has to go and get donations from the church, and he just spends it on drinking. And he won't come home for weeks and weeks and weeks sometimes.
Oof.
The husband actually goes off to another drinking binge and gets a fever, like one of those, I don't know, black plague fevers
Yellow
or whatever.
fever.
Fucking like Spanish flu type shit.
Coronavirus.
And since he's poor, he can't get any help, and no one gives a shit because he's a alcoholic pauper.
And it's
So
also the 1800s, so medicine was not as advanced as it is today.
he dies basically in the bar.
Well, that's probably a good outcome.
Yeah, she was actually very excited about that. In fact, she spits on his grave at the funeral.
Hell
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Now, she actually married someone really quickly out of that came from moderate wealth, and he wasn't rich. He was a clerk for a government position, but he really loved her. He took really good care of her and everything else because she's going through all this stuff, and you're going to see she's going to have some emotional problems, obviously. But so she did remarry. Let me talk about Leonardo. She got all this negative energy. At 12 years old, the family's living in this little farmhouse. She ties some dirty bed sheets up to the rafters of the barn, and she tries to hang herself.
Oh, God.
At 12.
No.
12 years old.
Wow.
This is Leonardo. This is a killer.
This is heartbreaking.
She jumps off the stool, and the noose actually breaks, but it crushes her larynx, and she can't talk for months.
Wow.
Okay, she tries again at 13.
No.
Same thing. Fate intervened, didn't kill herself. Not only that, she tried to commit suicide and didn't work. The mother didn't care at all. She's like, whatever, you know. She just didn't care.
It's unfortunate, but I'm sure the daughter was a reminder of what happened.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
You know, and
that's exactly what it was. It's like every time she sees her daughter, she thinks of that alcoholic that raped her.
Yeah.
You know, when she was 16 and she was about to marry into a life of wealth and prominence, and now this asshole just ruined everything. That's the daughter that
Because
came out
had
of
she
that
not
shit.
gotten pregnant from
Exactly,
that instance, no one would have known.
Yeah.
Right.
Leonardo, when she grows up, she actually becomes kind of a looker. And the mother has not been sending any love to her, spending any time with her. But when she starts, plumping out a little bit and getting kind of hot and
Just
noticing,
starts looking for love in all the wrong places.
noticing all these other guys starting to get attracted to her, it kind of brings her back to what she was, getting all
Right.
these suitors and everything else. Now she's taking an interest in Leonardo.
Because Leonardo could potentially move them up a level in the social
she was going to
system.
move him up a social status because she could marry into high wealth
Right.
because she was a looker.
I know, Hubble.
Here.
It's exhausting.
You saw a picture of Leonardo. I mean,
Yeah, she wasn't bad looking. She was pretty
I don't know.
for an Italian. Not to say that Italians are not. Like
Yeah.
she has very, very prominent Italian genes is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Like I feel like back then she would be very beautiful as an Italian woman.
Yeah, a few more beers. Yeah. A few more beers. Okay. So instead of marrying into a very wealthy, prominent family, because her mother was trying to set her up with suitors,
Right.
She marries this guy. His name is Raphael Pansardi.
Yeah,
Now,
he's not bad looking either. I mean, he's not the best looking.
well,
but
he's not bad looking, but he's a really good guy. He actually really loves Leonardo. And she, as you'll see, is very eccentric. She has these quirks about her that no one will be able to put up with. I barely put up with Nicole's, but this is like on a different level.
Yeah, you're a saint. What can I
Quirks.
say?
I mean, here's my thing. Like future person, I am very quirky, but there's like
Everyone's weird, Jen. You just have to find somebody that you're comfortable enough to be really weird with.
I didn't say I was weird. I said I was quirky.
Everybody's weird.
So this guy right here, he loved her and she loved him as well. But the mother didn't approve because this
He
guy
wasn't high enough.
Yeah, not even close. I mean,
Because
he's
I got high.
basically on the same status as they are,
Oh yeah, not good
And
enough.
she was getting some suitors that were far above. But they did love each other. But here is the thing that you need to listen to. This is very, very important. Very, very, very important. This one word is going to define the entire rest of this episode.
What's that?
The mother not only did not attend a wedding, but she put a curse, C-U-R-S-E,
Yeah.
on the marriage and on her daughter.
Oh,
Now, this was during the paganism era where curses actually meant something. Basically, if you were cursed, and you grew up kind of as a pagan, that shit held a lot of water. Her curse was basically that she was going to live a life of grief, of sorrow. She's going to outlive her kids, all this stuff. Like the mother really put that curse on her. So that thing's in
her head.
Stone right now. Like that's the word up. Like that's it. After they got married and after this curse, she started experiencing these fits of seizures, depression, epilepsy, high anxiety. I mean, she would literally seize up and have these like epileptic seizures, these fits of whatever, hysteria. This was all attributed to
the curse.
The curse. In her head, that was the reason this all started, is because of the curse.
Right. Now, if it's that easy, can one of you guys please put like an anti-curse on me that's like, Jen, you will find your partner and be happy and live wealthily and whatever.
She goes to a fortune teller. And this story would probably not even be talked about if she stayed away from these fucking fortune tellers. But this fortune teller tells her basically the same thing. The curse is real. You're going to live a life of grief, sorrow, and she's going to outlive all of her kids. If you want to read this, Naquiz, this is from the Baltimore Sun, Sunday, April 28th, 1946.
Ooh.
The Gypsy Prophecy. In it, the reader learned that while still a young girl in a town in southern Italy, she met a gypsy who prophesied she would have a tragic future. The voice of doom deeply agitated the girl, who at the time was already showing subnormal tendencies. As an example, in a moment of exultation, she pulled several of her teeth and, repeating an ancient rite, burned them before an image of the Madonna.
No, you don't.
I didn't even know Madonna was alive back then. Damn, what's up with it?
That was bad, John. Because out of all of my saints, Mary is my favorite. But I do have to say, like, as a Catholic, we're not supposed to partake in the supernatural or like card reading and tarot and palm reading and all that stuff. Like,
but he did say that was back then because of the time period, like saints and
The
those types of
Inquisition,
rituals were, it's kind of like Christmas being on December 25th. It's because of the sun holiday, like they kind of.
Technically speaking, what they say is because December is the darkest time of the year and Jesus is the light of the world. So like that's when.
Yeah, it is because there was this
Jesus
pagan holiday that was the biggest holiday of the year.
Jesus
and it
wasn't
made it
even
easier.
born on December 25th.
We know that.
Why do people think that?
Even though I'm Catholic and I'm not supposed to do this stuff, I kind of like want to go to a psychic and like just see what they have to say and be like, no, you're wrong. Can I have my money back, please? But at the same time,
or it gets in your head and the psychic is going to tell you you're going to have a terrible life and you're going to outlive all of your children and you're going to be a murderer, and then you're like, oh my god,
like
I guess I'm going to be a murderer, and then you start murdering
yeah,
people.
but here's the thing is that
like
the psychic will tell me you're going to have a terrible life and you're going to be barren and you're not going to have any children or a partner. I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're exactly right. How much money can I give you? Please take my money.
1922, this curse takes its full position. I'm a curse and I'm gonna curse you. That was stupid. 1922, she gives birth to her oldest son, Giuseppe, which
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. Make me some meatballs, mama.
Gelato. Beard cats.
She gives birth to her oldest son, Gelato, and he actually. Okay. He actually survives the curse. So in her head, she's like, wow, this is the one that survived the curse so far, like my savior. Like she
must be the second coming of Christ.
She latched onto this kid, like it was nobody's business. I mean, overly helicopter mom, 100%, like crazy. In her total life, from one newspaper I read, 17 children, and only 4 of these children actually survived. So she had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. One of the girls died of lung trouble. One of the boys died because he had like measles problems, stuff like that.
So how many of the children did she actually carry to term?
She had 17 children from one report that I read, and only 4 of those lasted past year number 3.
Wow.
So they all weren't miscarriages, but they would last.
Some were born, but they died very young.
18 months later, whatever. So, I mean, in her head, she is thinking this is the curse.
Right.
You not knowing that, I mean, back in when there wasn't
vaccines,
shit like that, there was a lot of that stuff. Not only that, she was having these miscarriages most likely because she was having these epileptic seizures and fits of anxiety and stuff. I mean, her body was, and in her head, she thought it was a curse. But the husband still put up with it. He loved her, which is cute. But, I would have dumped her. She actually gets a job.
You're so supportive.
I'm just kidding. She actually gets a job at the bank. At the local bank, at this time, women didn't really have real jobs back then. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could be a secretary or a clerk or whatever, but it was mostly a male-dominated society.
Right.
But she had to bring in money for all these babies she was having. So she actually got a job at this local bank. And it wasn't during business hours. Basically, the bank closes at night, and then she is all alone cleaning the bank. And the bank, for some reason, they didn't want to buy cleaning products, so she had to make her own soap and cleaning products. That's where she got that talent to actually create these soaps. She would put anything in these things. I mean, she'd find a dead animal carcass on the road, and she would mix the iron and the blood in the solution of whatever, and this place would be spotless. Okay, she became an expert soap maker.
We have soap making classes at our school, and I'm pretty sure that we only use goat's milk and not like
goat's milk,
a carcass.
I know back in the day, candles were made with whale fat.
Yes, blubber. And you know what? Actually, it wasn't necessarily the blubber. It was the, there was a term for the oil that you use to make the candles. Ooh, I really feel like a really bad New Bedfordian because that was a lot. The whaling industry came through New Bedford, which is my hometown.
Y'all fucking slaughtered all these innocent whales.
We were the richest country in the world at one point.
Yeah, you're rich, fucking killing all these harmless whales. Yeah. Let's put yourself in her head. This curse is trying to completely take over her life.
Or she's letting
She needs financial stability. She needs a savings. She needs a nest egg. She needs something to fall back on. She needs security. She can't have that with his meager wages, even at the bank, making meager wages. And the husband making meager wages. They're bringing enough to survive, but they're not bringing enough to save.
Right.
Gelato needs a lot of support now that Giuseppe. He needs a lot of support now that he's getting, older. She decided to create a fake account using the bank ledgers and siphon a little bit of money off for herself. Mm-hmm. But she's not a mastermind. It was like immediately noticed. She gets arrested.
Oh.
And the husband's like, what the fuck? I had no idea that she was doing this. And the husband actually claimed to one reporter that, quote, she was seized by madness and that she acted alone. I mean, because they thought the husband was in on it. She got sent to a nunnery for 18 months.
Woof.
I know, right? With all these fucking nuns. Fucking crazy. 18 months she gets released. Now, they actually moved to Lacedonia. They had a small home overlooking the Asento River, and it was actually a really nice spot. She goes to a fortune teller. Again, she goes to a fortune teller. She needs to stop going to these fucking fortune tellers.
Yeah, she's wasting her money.
And this fortune teller is rubbing this ball.
Crystal ball?
Crystal ball, She's rubbing this ball, and she's like, I see in your future. And she looks in one hand. In this hand, I see your future as prison. And then she opens her other hand. In this hand, I see your future as a mental asylum. Oh, there you go.
Well,
Where's my money? That was her
really
fortune.
That's great.
Do you guys remember those lawn ornaments that was like the balls on top of the pillars? Mm-hmm. Like, those don't really exist anymore. Like, what was the purpose of that?
I don't know.
But, they were a thing back when we were young.
Now, this is the actual point where her whole life turns around. She's out of prison. Her husband gets a really nice job, making good money. Everything is working out wonderfully.
Right.
She takes this little room in the house and makes it a soap shop. And using her talent from when she worked in the bank, she was successful right off the bat. And her product was going all over Italy.
Making some honest money.
Always sold out. Yeah, this is before she started putting human fat into the soap.
Gotcha.
She also started fortune telling because she's so good at it. Remember? And she likes all this mystic type of stuff.
Yeah.
And
She might not be good at it, but she's interested.
These travelers would come. They would come and they didn't have money to buy her soap, even though they wanted it. It's the best soap in Italy. The best motherfucking soap, because she wasn't just going to give you Dove soap. Like, she makes her own out of stuff that she finds. This is Dead Sea salts and all that, all that stuff at the mall. Yeah, I buy that stuff. So she makes all this stuff, from the best ingredients, and everyone loves it. Okay, so they started giving her these books on mysticism and paganism and occult and black magic and witchcraft and all this stuff in exchange for this soap. And she starts reading this shit. And she's already got this mind. Remember, she's still, the curse, she hasn't beaten the curse yet. It's
Curse
still
is very
there.
much real.
It's very much real. Even though she's doing a lot better, the curse is still there. She can tell. She can feel it.
Right.
So she started reading all this stuff. Now she's offering another part to her business, which is fortune telling and advice giving.
Oh, so she's telling fortunes now.
It's like Ask Alice.
Yeah. And I want to throw in one other thing. She did offer another segment of the business. For instance, one local girl found herself pregnant, and she actually went to Leonarda. And she's like, "Don't worry, sweetie, just drink this tea." And it actually, quote, removed the baby.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And she also had a potion that will restore men's vigor. Get your wiener all hard. Yeah.
Love potion number 9.
Everything's going good. Everything in her life. But then tragedy strikes. Giuseppe joins the army. Okay. He joins the army.
Gasp.
Giuseppe is the one that beat the curse so far. She thinks in her mind that the curse ultimately is going to take her most beloved son away from her. And it's going to take him away in the battle zone. Giuseppe, I mean, he is the one. But he joins the army, and he doesn't even tell his mother. In fact, she's walking through town, doing the market, getting the cucumbers in a basket and stuff like that. And then people are like, "Oh, I'm so glad your son joined the army.
You must be so proud.
You must be so proud." And she's just like, Now, in her mind, she's like, the curse is trying to take my son away, and he's going to kill him. The curse is going to kill him on the battlefield. So I need to dive into these books. And for 1 month, she spent time doing nothing else but reading these occult books. She found a spell to protect Giuseppe using what the alchemists call, and still used today, called the law of equivalent exchange.
So the law of attraction?
Do you want to take a guess at what that is, Niquiz? The law of equivalent exchange?
Every action has its equal opposite reaction?
The law of equivalent exchange is basically to get something, you have to provide something of very equal value. So to protect Giuseppe, which is this 18-year-old hunk, this sex, what's the guy's name from The Notebook? Ryan
Gosling.
This Ryan Gosling hunk that's joined the army, that's going to die over there, because all those guys half of them die, right? But to protect him, she's going to have to bring something else into the table. That's when the murders start a month later. The potion that she decided to use to protect Giuseppe in the fullest ability, she had to not only protect him from the inside, but the out. The soap was for the outside. Okay? We'll talk about the inside in a second. The first murder that she did was Faustina Setti. And I'm going to show you the pictures right now. Go to talkmurder.com to see these pictures. So this is her right here. Faustina Setti. She's not marriage material. In Italy at this time, if you're 20-something and not married, it's an embarrassment. If you're 30-something and not married, it's a travesty. If you're 40 and something and not married,
it ain't happening.
That's unacceptable. And that's who she was. She's 40-something, not married, have never been married. She's still a virgin.
It's okay, girl. It's okay.
She's still pure. She's just, not ever been married.
Right.
Her grapes are a little bit more ripe than anyone else's.
She would, for the last few months, she was a customer at the soap shop first, but then she started doing the fortune telling. And she really liked it because Leonarda's soap was known throughout Italy, but her fortune telling was known throughout this small town.
Right.
And everything that she would say, since she was so good at it, she read all these books, would usually come true. I mean, it wasn't like she was actually telling the future. It was that she was making a really good guess about what was about to happen.
Generalizations.
And it was usually coming true. So she was getting a lot of business, including this lady, Faustina. She comes in there complaining about a marriage. She wants to get married. It's way too late. I'm still a virgin. I'm 40-something.
That's okay.
Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Guess what, girl? What, girl? I found you a hubby. That's exactly what she said. I found you a husband. A man, a very wealthy and very attractive man in Pola, which is now Croatia. This man has seen your picture and he fell madly, deeply, oh God, I gotta have you right now, in love with you, girlfriend. And I've been on your behalf sending him letters, love letters for you.
Oh,
and we've
that's
been
nice of her.
corresponding and he wants to meet you and marry you immediately. So, without further ado, please show up at my house with your bags packed and those letters written out to your friends and family. And Faustina's like, well, why can't I just give them the letters now, or put them somewhere? Because what Leonardo does is after she kills the person, then she mails them out over the next few weeks, at different intervals. So it doesn't seem like, she's just dead, right? That she's still writing and stuff like that. She brings all her stuff over and she's ready to do this. She's ready to actually move down to Croatia and get married for the first time. Now, before she did that, because, you're traveling and all this stuff and I don't want anyone to rob you. So can you just transfer all your savings and all your stuff over to me? And then when you get there, I'll send it to you, stuff like that. You guys understand that, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like an escrow account. Okay. This is from the book we read earlier, which I forgot what it's called. The Curse by Ryan Green.
There was no way out but through. Leonarda swung the axe again and again. Pieces of Faustina fell onto the tile floor. Chunks of meat and bone. There was so much blood. It felt like Leonarda might drown in it. Her face was soaked by arterial spray, her tears cutting tracks down through it as she hacked at Faustina's body again and again.
Oof. This was the first murder, but Faustina wouldn't die. In fact, she was moaning. It was this horrible whining moan. She talks about it in her journals. But it's like, and at each hack, the moans would just keep going, like these moans. And eventually, she just went haywire and just started chopping like she's chopping wood. Now, this was the first kill that she's did, and she's not killing because she's a maniac or whatever. She needs the blood. The blood is what's going to be put in this potion. The blood is what's going to save Giuseppe. She needs the blood. Okay?
It's her sacrifice. Why wouldn't she just die? There were 4 separate pieces of her on the floor already. How could she still be screaming?
Oh my goodness.
She hung the 4 body parts up to drain the blood in the buckets. This is one thing she did wrong. She didn't put out the buckets soon enough. So the blood that occurred on the floor had dust bunnies, dirt, whatever. You can't put that shit into a potion of purity and of this potion that's going to save Giuseppe. You can't put that in there. So she hung these parts up to get more blood out because she didn't have enough. She did find out that if she take one of these 4 pieces, because, she had a quarter of a pail. You think of a pail, like a wooden pail. Only a quarter of the bottom of that was filled with blood.
Oh,
and that's
not that
not
bad.
enough for the potion. She needs the whole thing. So she's taking like a leg off the hook, the meat hook, and she's basically like flopping the arm over the shoulder, maybe the foot over the shoulder, flopping it over the shoulder, like leverage. And she takes the trunk of the leg or the arm and she just squeezes it, massages it, and tries to drain the blood out like a sponge into that pail. It's fucking.
Did it work? Did she get enough blood?
Yeah, she didn't get enough blood, no. But
that's why she had to kill another person.
Exactly right. So she then puts the blood in the oven. She takes the remaining pieces and places them in caustic soda, which is kind of like
Acid?
Acid, yeah. She's not only making soap, she's got to get rid of the body somehow. And in her store, she didn't just make soap, she made candles and she made tea cakes.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
I used to mix human blood with chocolate and add an exquisite flavor made of tangerine and anise seed, vanilla, and cinnamon, she wrote. Sometimes I added a sprinkling of powder from human bones.
So
Protein.
she's making these tea cakes. Now, remember I said the potion, the specific recipe that she wants to use to save Giuseppe, he's like Achilles, right? You bathe him and he's completely invincible. It's the same thing with Giuseppe. But if you just do the outside with soap, yeah, his outside is safe. But what about the inside?
That's why he's got to eat it.
That's why he's got to eat these tea cakes. You see what I'm saying?
Got it.
Outside and inside. It's very important. She also made candles. Now, this is just so she could use up all of the body. So she made tea cakes, soap, and now these are people coming in. Like her shop was filled every morning. It's like it's like one of those bagel. It's like one of those bagel shops.
This is like Sweeney Todd, but not.
It's like Brewster's Bagels or whatever. Brewster's Bagels. You go in there and there's all these
Delicious bagels.
People are always in there getting coffee and bagels. People are eating these tea cakes and be like, wow, this is fucking delicious.
That's because Bruegger's has quality bagels, and you know what? There are not enough quality bagel places around Charleston.
I then cut the body in 9 pieces, which I put into a cauldron in which soda was boiling. I made an interesting experiment. I plunged in a ladle and picked out a substance of soapy appearance. As a matter of fact, the flesh had been converted into a sort of wax, in which I fixed a wick. It made a perfect candle, which I lighted. Greatness of God, what a superb flame.
Oh, dear Lord. That makes me really rethink my candle problem.
Look at that girl.
Next.
Clementina.
She has a lazy eye.
This is the next victim. Her name is Clementina, but her name was pronounced Francesca Solvi. She's actually a school teacher from Correggio. Now, no, the first murder that we talked about in this episode, that was the last one. You understand that, right? That was the last one, right, for the bathing. I wanted to bring the whole bathing in first.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is the second.
Okay.
All right, so this is the last one we're talking about today. Francesca, she was a school teacher in Correggio. She retired early because her husband was actually really sick and he was dying. And that's not good because
definitely not.
in this society, like the husband is usually the one that works.
It's a patriarchy.
And it's a patriarchy. So, everyone's really sad for her, but you know what now? Like, you got to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's a teacher.
She didn't have any children, and she was well liked. Now, the reason she brought this victim in is because the first batch did not work out right. The soap, the mixture was most of it she poured out. It was too sloppy. The consistency wasn't right and all this stuff. I mean, she did make a little bit of cakes, but it wasn't the one that's going to actually break the curse and completely save Giuseppe inside and out.
How does she know the difference?
She just knows. I mean, she's into the mysticism. The exchange, she said, wasn't equal. The equivalent exchange ratio that these alchemists did, right? Now, this is in August 1940. This is actually 3 months before Giuseppe ships off to war, so she needs to hurry up. They're pretty good friends. She was a customer at first, but then she starts doing the fortune telling. Leonarda's giving her advice and stuff like that. One day she comes in there and she's like, hey, girl, you will never believe what I just did for you.
What?
And she says, there's this elite private school in Switzerland. That is the elite of the elite.
Sounds like a Swiss bank account.
And now she's a teacher, remember. The very noble, only the most noblest people go there. High class, high society. The hiring is very private and invitation only because it's like in the mountains and very like hush hush. All the rich people
Plus
go there.
the war
Yeah.
and like the Sound of Music, like
Now
obviously the hills are alive.
the whole time has correspondence that she's showing to Francesca, written from this academy, this elite school, which is completely made up. But this is where Leonarda and her mother, seeing her mother, and her quirks with the high life,
Right.
because she came from nobility. This is where that came into play. Now she's writing as she was from the school of high wealth.
Right.
She kind of knows
She
how
can
to
fake
do it.
it, yeah.
She faked it. And she was showing Francesca all this stuff, and she bought it. So basically, same routine. MO's the same. They bring all their stuff, transfer all the wealth, bring all your stuff over here, drink the wine, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is September 5th, 1940 when this happens. This time, second time around, she lines these basins up, which catch the blood, right? Because the blood was all fucked up last time because it's all over the floor, and we
Right.
can't use that blood. We need fresh blood.
Detailing the killing of her friend Francesca Savi, Leonarda related that while my victim was drinking the elixir I'd prepared, I got a hold of an axe, placed myself behind Francesca, and, summoning all my strength, struck the back of her neck. A rattle, nothing else. It was a master stroke that almost beheaded Francesca.
Okay, that was from the Baltimore Sun, April 28th, 1946. The murder right before this, the one that didn't work, she couldn't even really make soap out of it because the girl was too skinny. This girl right here, Francesca, she had this yellow layer of fat. Well, I mean, she had to obviously peel back the skin to get the fat, but that fat that you got, she used that. I think it's called visceral fat. She used that, and it made awesome soap. That's basically the story. And this is the last thing I want you to read. This is from her journal, her memoirs.
I threw the pieces into a pot, added 7 kilos of caustic soda, which I had bought to make soap, and stirred the whole mixture until the pieces dissolved into a thick, dark mush that I poured into several buckets and emptied into a nearby septic tank. As for the blood in the basin, I waited until it had coagulated, dried it in the oven, ground it and mixed it with flour, sugar, chocolate milk, and eggs, as well as a bit of margarine, kneading all the ingredients together. I made lots of crunchy tea cakes and served them to all the ladies who came to visit, though Giuseppe also ate them. I gave the copper ladle, which I used to skim the fat off the kettles, to my country, which was so badly in need of metal during the last days of the war.
So she eventually gets caught because the first murder that we talked about in this, her actual last murder,
Right.
Virginia, her stepbrother came and was asking questions, and the police came and all this stuff. The reason she actually got caught, because there's no body, there's nothing. I mean, the evidence was consumed by the town. I mean, everyone's eating it and burning it in candles and using it to wipe their booty hole in the shower. I mean, the evidence is spread out.
This reminds me of the pig guy.
But Giuseppe was actually the prime suspect, and the police were interrogating him over and over and over and over and over.
Because a woman couldn't possibly do this.
Exactly. So eventually, Leonarda ran into the station and admitted everything right there. Let my boy go. He had nothing to do with it. Because in her mind,
It was the curse.
doesn't matter. No.
It was the curse
This
if he
is
took
actually
him.
a very good ending for her, because who cares what happened to her? She beat the curse. The last woman, Virginia, the tea, cakes, and the soap were of exquisite quality. And she was assured that after the son ate it, and after she bathed him in it, like when we first started, that when she bathed him in the bathtub that night, that was the moment when the curse has broken. He ate right before he went into the bath. She bathed him. And after that, it doesn't matter what happens to her. She beat the curse. So it's a very happy ending to the story.
Well,
I mean, except
Matter
for
of
the
opinion.
people that had to die for it.
Well,
but
yeah. But what do you guys think?
Whoa, that was a...
So did she spend her life in prison?
She didn't spend her life in prison, no. She actually was arrested and she spent 30 years in prison and 3 years in...
Solitary?
The insane asylum.
The insane asylum, right? So that
It came
and
true.
she did actually
so the
outlive.
curse wasn't broken.
She did outlive her kids, which is crazy. She actually died in 1970.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
So she lived what?
She was like
fucking 85 years
yeah.
old. So she did outlive her kids.
Wow.
And she is forever known as the soap maker of Correggio. She also has a few other names which I can't
So
pronounce.
she didn't break the curse after all.
I know
It
she
came
did
true.
because the son survived.
No, but she still outlived them.
So that's it. That's the story. That's my soap story.
Wow.
Your soap opera.
What do you guys think?
That was a good one.
I liked that one.
Y'all just say.
No, I really liked that one.
No, I
That
thought
was
it
different.
It was unique. Unique New York.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button or whatever podcasting app you use. If you like the story, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our tea cake, go to talkmurder.com/join. Become a Taco Supremo. Get a badass t-shirt, sticker, swag, a lot of love. Shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. I'll research it, dedicate it to you on Talk Murder Me podcast. My name is John, here with Jen and Nicole. And until next time.
You don't want to wash your mouth out with this soap.
I don't know, but I want some ice cream.
Baby, no. No.
You're not going to tell me what to under. For all you guys listening in your earbuds, turn that shit up, even if you're driving them trucks.
And if you're sensitive to hearing, maybe not so loud, but like just enough so you can hear him.
Yeah. Bah!
That was so funny. That's like, like at concerts, I always have to wear earplugs because if I don't wear them, the pitch is off. I think I've said this before, probably.
The
No?
pitch is off?
Yeah,
At,
like, all right, so the
concerts?
first time I saw Lady Gaga live, like, I was very, very disappointed because I didn't know that I had this problem. I was at the TD Garden.
Is
and
she singing
sounded-
off pitch?
No, she wasn't off pitch, but
You're
her...
flat.
No, okay, here's the thing.
Can you imagine?
She was perfect. She was perfect. But I didn't know that until after I watched the videos that I took because in the moment when I was in the arena, she sounded like a gerbil, like a hamster. Like
I'm not going to reheat those meatballs for you that I made last night. If you
I don't want them meatballs. Them meatballs are old. I'm giving them to Hubs tomorrow.
Oh, you
I'll
can't.
eat them. I would eat meatballs if you're going to give them to the dogs. Yeah, but please don't try to kill
No,
me.
I'm not going to try, but would
If
you
it
give us your
happens,
consent
yeah.
if you die, we can make you into soap?
I mean, I'm an ogre. I'm an ogre donor. What are you doing in my swamp? No,
You up in Hubs while me and Nicole are in hell.
I don't think I'm going to heaven. I'll
No, you're
probably
not, because as soon as you fly up there, me and Nicole is going to grab your feet and pull you back down. You ain't going anywhere. We're all in this
like-
together.
I'm
You had
glad
a-
you guys are committed to
You
this.
had a
and
murder
long.
podcast, Jen. Where the fuck you think you're going?
I'll be in purgatory, like just chilling,